Hey guys, today we're going to go over how to set up a basic Linux server. This is the Red Sky version, but for the most part, everything's pretty universal, straightforward, same process. This is just how we like to do it. So let's kind of get started here. First thing that we're going to do is we are going to log into Linode. Linode is our hosting provider that we use for all of our systems. We're going to log in as the dev Red Sky University. You can find the credentials for this inside of the Red Sky University account. I believe maybe on Confluence too. So we're going to log in. All right. The first thing here you're going to see is the dashboard. You can see my node that I have on here from one of the previous videos and processes that we went through. But we're going to click on Create Linode. We are going to pick which distro we want. We use Ubuntu. We can use the 20.4. An important piece that you want to keep in mind is you do want to ensure that you use an LTS. If you don't use the LTS version, some of your routes for the files, the actual Ubuntu file system files, the repositories that they pull from, they are not the LTS versions, and they will become outdated, and you have to manually maintain those. Anyway, so in this case, let's just pick 20.4. It is the latest LTS that we have. These others are going to be your bleeding edge versions that we have. In this case, we can pick the region that we want. We usually tend to go with like Fremont or Dallas. In this case, we'll do Dallas. We can just do a shared CPU, as this is for projects. We don't need the dedicated processing. So we can do shared CPU. Just do a little nanode. It's $5 a month. You can see the hourly rate, how much it has. This is plenty sufficient for getting us up and going and kind of starting us off here. We can set up our root password. Demo machine, root user, copy that password. Let's get rid of that guy. All right, we can paste that password in there. You can see one password will just suggest one as well. But because we created that one, we already have it in there. We're going to go with the one that we have. SSH keys is if I want to add them by default. We do want to put our SSH keys on there. However, we want to put them on there. You can do it this way, which is great, fine. But we'll go through the process of actually setting up the SSH keys at a later time. Backups, we don't need to do backups. On these ones, again, test machines, we don't have to worry about them. That's really about it. And we just create our Linode. He's going to create and provision. All right, and you can see our Linode is done. He's provisioning now. So we'll just let him do his thing. All right, perfect. We can see that our Linode is up and going. Give a quick overview of the diagnostics. You can kind of see what's going on with your server, everything like that. Right here we have our root SSH. So let's add this guy in here, and we should just be able to paste that guy. All right, that's going to ask us if we want to keep the fingerprint, the ID of the server. We say yes. He's going to ask for our password that we have in password. We saved here, which is great. Just going to decide, paste that guy in there, and awesome. We are logged into our server that we have. Okay, so now that we're into our server, some of the first things that we need to do is we need to run a apt-get, but we want to make sure that things are updated and upgraded. Let's go ahead and paste that in there. This is going to run the first command, the apt-get update, and then it's going to run the upgrade. All right, we're just going to let this run for a little bit, guys. And I will come back here in just a few minutes once it's done, so you don't have to watch all of these files update and upgrade. Okay, perfect. Looks like we are done. We can see, if you're familiar with Linux, once you get back to the terminal, you're good to go. All right, next process that we're going to do here is we are going to add a dev user. To do this, it is simply just add user with whatever the name is. And in this case, we want add user dev. We want to give him a password. We are going to go back to our 1Password system. We are going to add a new password into that same file that we were in before. I'm going to say password. We're going to let it generate a password for us. Just get that. Okay. Paste in dev password. We type in the password. We can enter the credentials if we want to for this user profile on the server. In this case, we don't need to add anything because it doesn't necessarily matter. Is this information correct? Yes. All right. Now we have a dev user. All right. The next process that we want to do is we want to modify this guy. All right. All right, and he adds him to the sudo group. Sudo is the super user permissions. Okay, we need to test the login. We're going to paste our password. Looks like that worked. We're good to go. We're going to run a sudo ls, which is our sudo command, just to make sure that that's working. Okay, so the next thing that we need to do is we need to update the sudoers file. So we're going to say sudo vi sudo. This is going to open up the sudoers file, which is the config or default config for our super users. And it kind of gives all of those permissions. So we need to go down here to the environment reset, and we need to add a timestamp. And this is going to be timeout equals 60, which gives us 60 minutes before the sudo super user login times out. Let's go save that guy. All right, we're good to go. Next thing, now that we have dev is a super user, as we can use the sudo command, meaning he has all of the same privileges as root right now. What we want to do is we need to now disable the root login, so only dev is able to log into the server going forward. So we need to sudo, I prefer nano versus vi or vim. I'm going to say ssh d config. All right, this is going to open up our config file for our SSH rules, basically allowing those users to log in, or however we're going to do that. So we're going to go down here, we're going to change him to no, and that should be all we have to do here. We're going to save that, and we need to do a system control and restart our SSH. All right, that process should be restarted, meaning root can no longer log in. All right, the next thing that we need to do here is we're going to go back into the sudo. We're going to go down to our sudo all. All right, and in this case, we need to say this will be no password :all. All right, let's go ahead and save that guy. Okay, it is important to ensure that those work, so let's try to SSH in as root. We should get the access denied. This guy, let's try root password. All right, permission denied. We cannot log in as root. So we can kill that guy, and we can try logging in as dev in this same case. So we want to say ssh dev at 69.64.272.29. All right, let's get our dev password. Try that guy. Awesome. So root cannot have access. Dev does have access to the server, which is great. It's exactly what we want to have happen. All right, next thing that we need to do is we need to set up our SSH keys. Right now we're still logging in with passwords, which we want to refrain from doing and only allow SSH keys. Okay, perfect. We're logged in as dev. We need to cd to our root directory here. All right, make sure we're at the home. We need to, if we do any sort of check, you can see we don't have our SSH file, so we need to make our SSH file. So now we have our .sh hidden file. We want to cd into that guy. All right, and then here we want to make a authorized keys file. All right, and this is where your SSH keys actually live. Okay, awesome. I have my SSH key. We are going to paste that guy in there. So you can see there's my SSH key. This is the 825519 key versus an RSA key or any of the other key formats that you can have. All right, so this guy, you just want to have him in there. I am going to save this guy. All right, so now we have our authorized keys. Okay, awesome. I need to change the permission of our authorized keys. All right, and this is going to be change mod A600 authorized keys. Okay, awesome. We got that changed. Now I just want to test the SSH. This should not require a password at this point as we put my SSH key on there. So I can say dev at our server IP, and we should just get logged in, which is great. Now we no longer have a password. It's using my SSH key to authenticate and log in there on the server, which is great. All right, now we need to disable the passwords login, so it only requires or allows SSH keys. All right, in this guy, we're going to say sudo nano file we were in before. All right, so we are in the SSH guy. We need to find the password authenticate. This guy, we want to say no to this guy, so we do not allow password authentication. We save him and we run our sudo system control restart SHD. It's going to restart that process. And again, we just want to ensure that that still works. We can still SSH in, which we are good to go. So now passwords will no longer work. We can only log in as dev currently, as that's the only user that we have, and it has to be done with an SSH key that exists on the server. So right now I'm the only one who has access to the server. All right, next process that we need to add is the firewall. So we can restrict which ports are open, who has access where, what people can actually get to. So we want to use the Ubuntu firewall. In this case, it's just sudo ufw. We can say a status, which is going to tell us what it's doing. Right now it's inactive. We need to say sudo ufw to allow all outgoing. All right, and now we need to deny all incoming, so nothing else can get into our server other than our exact terminal on our session that's already set up. We want to allow port 22, which is our SSH port. We want to allow port 80, which is your standard HTTP web traffic. We want to allow 443, which is HTTPS. And we want to allow 3306, which is going to be our database connection. We want to allow whatever terminal or whatever process we're going to have for our servers. So typically is 3001. So we want to allow that guy as well. We can say sudo ufw status. See that he's still turned off. We're going to say enable, which turns him on. We say yes, start him up. He should be up and going. We can check status again. That's going to tell us that he is active, and these are the ports that are open. Nothing else is allowed, so we can't get into the server on any other ports. Right? That is our firewall. Next process, typically, is setting up Node.js, whichever version you happen to want. 10, 12, 14, whatever. So in this case, we do our apt-get to put curl on here. If you remember from previously where we ran the update and the upgrade, this is going to give us the latest, greatest version of curl available to us. Great, he's on there, he's ready to go. Now, what we can do is we can say we want version 14, as that is the latest that we want here. Let's paste that guy in there. This is going to get us Node version 14. Right. Let's install Node.js. And now we need to install the Yarn package manager. We like to use Yarn versus npm if we can. On our projects, it's a little bit nicer. Okay, that is our basic server. Some of the next steps that we would set up, it would be HA proxy or Nginx, whatever server you're going to use to serve our files. You can even use serve, really whatever you want there. Set up MariaDB, set up Agenda, Mongo, Redis, those things. And if you're interested in those, obviously go on to the videos that show you how to set those up, get them initialized and started, and we can go from there. Anyway, all right. Well, I will see you guys next time. Thanks.